Good morning. Welcome to the Weather Hazard Briefing presented by National Weather Service Pocatello for Thursday, December 4th. Here's what you'll see in this presentation. We have low clouds and fog once again this morning. This can deposit ice on roadways and sidewalks, so do be careful when traveling to work this morning. However, increasing clouds as mild and moist air moves into the region, so we're going to see a warming trend in a lot of places, which will raise the snow elevation, especially where it sticks, but not quite this first day. So we'll move in from the northwest. We have scattered showers. Will turn into consistent rain or snow tonight. There is a winter storm watch in effect for 5 p.m. tonight through 5 a.m. on Saturday. So that's for a couple of days, actually. Look at that. Rain and snow even at the Snake River Plain elevations, at least at first. Moderate to heavy snow in the eastern and southern highlands and light snow in the central Idaho mountains. The precipitation intensifies strongly, though, starting Friday morning, continues through Friday night, actually into a few hours for some of the locations on Saturday morning. The snow level rises. It'll be all rain, though, below about 4,500 to 5,000 feet elevation, so that includes the Snake River Plain and our heavily populated areas. And then moderate to heavy snowfall with widespread 8 inches, and it gets as high as 20 to 25. And look for it to be windy to very windy in the Snake River Plain for Friday night and most of the day on Saturday. Okay, so these are the current warnings, watches, and advisories in effect. You can see currently we are, and most of western Montana and Oregon or Washington are all under watches currently. They have gone ahead and issued advisories and warnings to places to our east. I would expect to see these convert over, some of them to warnings, some to watches, advisories, and then probably some advisories up here, especially in the Stanley Basin and the Sawtooths. So watch for that later on this afternoon as an update. Here's the current satellite image. Here's all the low clouds and fog. You can see it's once again widespread like it has been for the previous couple of days. And so this, at the temperatures we're at, is causing freezing fog, which does freeze sidewalks and roadways. So do be careful. A lot of it, though, is stratus, not even touching the ground, too. So it may not affect you, but there is a risk that it could. So here's our risk outlook. Wherever you see orange, that indicates advisory level. Where you see red, that is where probably the winter storm warnings will be. So you can see the rain or snow is all likely. It all develops mostly in the afternoon, with the exception of some of the eastern highlands. It might start snowing this morning. And then overnight is when most of this will occur. And then on Friday, the heaviest snowfall amounts are in the afternoon. We'll take a look at that in detail. But you can see rain and snow down in the lower elevations here. Rain and snow for the South Hills. But elsewhere, bulk of it is snow, at least at some point. On the 6th, it starts to die out. There's still a chance for some snow here in the Sawtooth area and morning snow in the highlands bordering Wyoming. Elsewhere, it's more or less slight chance. And you can see the windy things in the South Hills and then in the Snake Plain, too. Windy to very windy from Friday afternoon through Saturday. Then on Sunday, you can see a lot of it drops a slight chance, especially in the lower elevations. And then the upper elevations, it's still kind of likely to categorical, but much less impact. Snowfall falls off rapidly here on Sunday to basically below 5 inches, even in the high elevations. Same with the Sawtooth area, and then even less than that in the Lost River, Wood River, and Lehigh County area. And then on Monday, probably one of our lowest risk days for precipitation in the next 7. You can see some places not even getting any. You can see a lot of slight chance, just some chances with just the eastern highlands having a likely category of snow and rain. All right, so here's why. Again, we don't have any organized, it looks like here, any sort of organized feature moving through. However, this northwest flow is carrying with it a lot of moisture. It will interact with southerly winds down at the surface to bring in warmer air, and so that warmer air at the surface will help melt some of the snow as it falls out of the moist air mass that's coming over the top of Idaho and across the northern Rockies. And you can see here this hash area, that's where the heavy snow is going to be for this first day. And we'll take a look at that in detail. Here's temperatures for today. You can see we continue to actually warm, even with a cloud cover, even with snow later. We are seeing widespread areas reaching 40, above freezing at least. Compared to yesterday, it wasn't quite as good. So a slight warming trend compared to yesterday. And here's the precipitation. So this morning, you can see it's really light stuff with the exception of up here in the Island Park area. This all intensifies tonight. Again, this is a liquid water equivalent. That's rain and what the snow would be if you melted it down. You can see, again, with the northwest flow, there is what we call a precipitation shadow, and that will mostly hug the Arco Desert down here through the Craters of the Moon area. And you can see it's actually pretty light for Ketchum and Haley. So they don't always get heavy snow there in Ketchum and Haley. Here's how it will fall out as snow. So this morning, less than an inch, really just light stuff up here in the northeast corner, and then for the afternoon it sort of intensifies 1 to maybe 3 inches or so up here again in that northeast corner, and it starts to snow over here in the Central Idaho Mountains and down here in the southeast highlands, but again not a whole lot, just in the higher elevations where it usually catches some pretty good moisture. That'd be north of Swan Valley to the Island Park and Montana border. Then tonight you can see how it really intensifies. This is all going to be snow. You can see Pocatello 1 to 2 inches, another up to an inch, and that doesn't even include what's happening at the benches. So all told for Pocatello, anywhere from 1 to 3, maybe even 4 inches on some of the benches, for instance. And elsewhere you can see some pretty good snowfall. This is not you have to add these two together to get the total amount of snowfall overnight. And here it is today and tonight. Expected snowfall does cross the 6-inch threshold. That's the orange, the yellow. And it's even heavier up in here. We're getting in excess of 10 inches and a foot in some of these places. Meanwhile, you can see Haley, less than an inch of snowfall. And again, you can see that precipitation shadow here in any of the canyons that open to the southeast. That's where you get the most shielding from precipitation. Overnight lows tonight, actually mild compared to the past couple of nights where we had a lot of teens. Teens now are limited to areas that will be mostly cloud and precipitation free up here in the northern end of the Arco Desert area, of the northern end of the Snake River Plain. But where the cloud cover will be, we actually keep it pretty mild. Even Stanley at 21, you can see Twin Falls looking at an all rain event. Even Burley, what little snow they'll get will be washed away by rain. And even Pocatello at 31 degrees, that's pretty mild. So on Friday, you can see the rain-snow mixture moves in. You can see still lots of heavy snow all in our eastern highlands, our southern highlands, and even portions here in the Central Idaho Mountains. So once again, expect some sort of advisory to be issued for up here. And this one likely a lot of advisories and warnings. And this is the day where it will really start to count. First, though, temperatures, you can see we get even warmer in spite of the storm being over us. It gets to 40 degrees almost to Idaho Falls, 48 degrees in Twin, gets up to 39 degrees in Stanley, so they'll even see some partial melting and maybe a rain-snow mix. Here's the expected snowfall for Friday. So starts out light here in the Central Idaho Mountains. It continues to be pretty good, although it's sort of taken a bit of a break here in the eastern and southern highlands. But then here tomorrow afternoon, you can see it starts to ramp up. A lot of these lower places, it's snow changing over to rain. That's why it's kind of spotty here. And then in the evening, it intensifies more over the Central Idaho Mountains, and it continues to be excellent here over the eastern highlands. And then it begins to die off tomorrow night. You can see a lot less snow. And so total snowfall for Friday and Friday night, an additional 8 to 12 inches over here. So, some of these places are looking at approaching 2 feet of snow during the storm period. See, it's much heavier over here in the central Idaho mountains, and that's why I think tonight you'll see, or this afternoon you'll see things issued for this area as well. Okay, finally here on Saturday, you can see again we still get a mixture of rain and snow depending on elevation, and most of the heavy snow though will be on the other side of the Idaho-Wyoming border. And all the way around with the cloud cover, very mild temperatures pretty much everywhere, even here over the Arco Desert area. And that translates to mild temperatures, 40 degrees, all the way up almost to Rexburg now. And here's a precipitation threat for Saturday night. You can see it's considerably less, so it will be a few more breaks in the clouds, but still some pretty good precipitation risk, especially if you get into the higher elevations here in the central Idaho mountains and here along the eastern highlands. However, I would say at most this will be approaching advisory, but probably staying below that in terms of snowfall amounts. For Sunday, temperatures, you can see the sky's clear Saturday night, and once again we drop into the teens, but still some areas just getting below freezing. And then on Sunday with the clearer skies, look at these temperatures. They continue to warm or stay warm, but not quite as warm as the day before. The precipitation threat for Sunday night, you can see it's dropped considerably, with just mostly the eastern highlands and maybe the Sawtooths experiencing snow. Everyone else is just really a slight chance. And here's Monday. Look at these temperatures on Monday with the clearest skies probably in the next 7 days. 50 degrees at Burley and Minidoka, 46 at Pocatello, 40 degrees back, finally reaches Rexburg. Idaho Falls at 43, even Stanley at 40 degrees. And here's why. Precipitation threat for the whole 24-hour period is just barely getting to likely here in the eastern highlands, and it's still chance even here in the central Idaho mountains, so not very risky at all compared to the rest of the days this week. That's all I have. If you have any further questions, you can always contact us at this telephone number here, or check out the weather yourself at weather.gov/Pocatello. Thanks for watching.